Okay, welcome. So my name is Jacques Alexis. I am an associate teaching professor of management in the graduate project management program, and I'm based in Boston, Massachusetts. Now, the purpose of this workshop is to give students across the network an idea about how Microsoft Project works and how do we integrate technology into project management. Now, to tell you honestly, the reason we choose Microsoft Project for this workshop is because Microsoft is a pioneer in project management software development. Microsoft Project was developed and sold on the market for the first time in 1984. So it's been a while. And I must be honest, most project management software applications out there are actually based on Microsoft Project, trying to somehow imitate the user interface, which is, I think my screen is shared. You can take a look at the user interface. It's practically a powerful spreadsheet with pre-defined commands that we can just point and click and create schedule. So why software integrations is important? Project management is really the way we manage things within organizations. I'm saying project, a lot of organizations are managing many projects at a time. It would be very difficult to do it without a software application. So that's why learning this is important. Another reason is with the advent of AI, there are a lot of things we can do with AI, but one thing AI cannot completely do for you is to create a good schedule with resource allocation and manage it for you. AI can't do that for you yet. So this is where you're going to add value to an organization. Now, for resource optimizations, you need a software like Microsoft Project, Primavera P6, and others, or other applications in order for you to do it. And we know resources are extremely important for organizations. This is, they must manage their resources effectively and efficiently. And without resources, they can't really compete in the marketplace. So if you are project management students, you are there will be an expectation for you to acquire technical skills, right? And that's going to be part of your technical skills. And for all the other skills, I have no doubt that you're going to acquire them as well. But probably this is where you're going to contribute by training others or by helping with resource management, project scheduling, critical path management, etc. So the primary audience for this workshop is PGM 5900 students, and the reasons for that, they ones who don't know how to use project yet. Quite often, I meet students who say, you know, I've used it at work in India, China, or other places in the world, or in the United States, because this is very popular software. So if you new to Microsoft Project, it's going to be an opportunity for you to ask a lot of questions. And if you know project already, this is going to be a refresher for you and understand how we're using it, the principles we actually apply when we're using Microsoft Project. So Microsoft Project, to a large extent, was built on PMI standards, project management standards. So although it's not fully compliant when we look at AWS, but there are workarounds and it's going to be we're going to rely on our expertise to make sure that we actually create a great schedule. So the start is to open the files that I shared with you. We're going to start by making sure everyone has access to Microsoft Project. Now, if you are here and you don't have access to Microsoft Project, it's okay, because you can watch and ask questions, but it would be so much better if you can actually work with us as we do this, right? So here we go. Now, before we start, do you have any questions for me? No? Okay, so are you ready? If you're ready, please let me know. In the chat, I see I do believe so. Is this being recorded? I think okay, yes, it is being recorded. Okay, so where do we start? Let me take a look at the file. Let's find our file here. So this is our instructions, right? Okay, so now if you take a look at my screen, this is what a blank project file looks like. Now, as you can see, the project title right now is Project 1. That's by default, right? Microsoft Project is divided into workspaces that we call views. Now, what you see on my screen depends on which view I am in Microsoft Project. If I switch from this view, which is called Gantt chart view, you will see something completely different, right? And you can do different things or perform different tasks in different views. Now, in the Gantt chart view, this table is called an entry table, no? Because this is where you enter project informations like the task name, the task duration, and predecessors, resources. You don't have to enter the resources here, but they're going to show here. That's the default view in Microsoft Project. Now, the right side of the screen, what you see is the Gantt chart view. This is where when you enter information, for example, if I have activity A, right, I enter activity A. And if I enter durations of 5 days, what you're going to see here, I have durations 5 days and activity A, and you have a Gantt bar, it's called Gantt bar, that goes from Monday to Friday. So by default, when I enter 5 days in the computer, the system understands that this is 5 working days, right? Now, the thing is, the way the schedule works depends on the calendar. You can create a lot of different calendars. Now, the default calendar is a standard calendar in the United States with 5 days a week and 40 hours a week, 8 hours a day, 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week. Now, this is why when I enter 5 days, you see it takes from Monday to Friday. Now, let's say that I create a special calendar for my project and I apply it to the project. I create let's say, a 3-day calendar and I enter task A, duration 5. Now, what it's going to do, it's going to go from Monday to Wednesday. These are the working days, 3 days a week. Assume that these are the 3 days I chose. Then it's going to have 3 days this week and skip the non-working days and start the next week with 2 more days, Monday, Tuesday. That's going to be the duration of my activity. So the software is actually you can pre-program certain things, so the software understands what to do when you ask it to perform certain tasks. But a lot of programming actually already there for you to manage a project effectively and efficiently. We're going to see the power of project in a minute. Now, this is an example. Now, you may be asking, what is this pin here in the task mode? The pin here is the options to manually schedule tasks or auto schedule. We're going to talk about the difference later, okay? So now you have the menu bar here, and Microsoft uses the ribbon system here to give you a lot of comments that you can easily access. But those also you can find in the menu bar. So you have file, task, resource, report, project, and view. Remember, I told you there are a bunch of views where you can go and do different things. For example, if I want to deal with resources, I go here, resource views. If I want to deal with data, and I can, like data entry, tracking table, looking at costs, then I go to the data group. In the data group, you have a lot of things you can do about data, resource views, you have task views, etc. Okay, so now this WBS Pro is not part of project, it's an add-on. I added it there to create a fancy graph for WBS. But there are a lot of things you can actually add to Microsoft Project because they're compatible. But this is not part of the user interface. Okay, so you have a help menu that is very useful, and the Gantt chart format that allows you to make changes to what would you see and how your Gantt bars appear on your screen. So this is practically what the user interface here, as you can see, and you have a timeline on the top where you can use to take a look at the timeline of your project as you enter information. So I'm going to delete this first activity that I created because it was just to give you a demonstration. So if you select it and delete it, that's how it works. Now, do you have any questions so far? No? No questions? Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create my project file. I'm going to create a project file. What to do is to click on File, Save As, and browse where you'd like to add the file. So in my case, I'm going to just drop it on my desktop so I can find it very quickly. I already have many here. Okay. So what I'm going to call it, I'm going to call it Alexis J CPS plant tree. CPS plant tree. I can actually, if I want to add today's date to it, 02/19. 02/19.
Professor, sorry to cut you here. I just wanted to know where can we find this file?
Where can you find file?
This file, the file that you're showing right now. Where can we find it?
Or open project, open Microsoft project.
Okay. It's the same Excel, is it? Not the
open Microsoft project software application. You have access to Microsoft Project, right?
Yes, I have.
Open it. When you open project, that's what you see.
Okay.
Right?
Okay, thank you.
Let me know when you're done.
Okay, sure.
Do you have access to project? Sharanya?
No, sir. All I can see is an Excel.
Okay, so you don't have Microsoft Project installed on your computer?
I installed. I'm using the virtual machine.
Okay, and you can't find project there?
No.
Oh, if you type in the search at the bottom here, and you type project, the app will pop up. It's just an app, just like
Okay, I'll
every
check
app.
that out. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, project
So
app. Okay.
yeah. So if you
Okay, found it.
great. Now if you have your file, you name your file. The thing, this is what we call your project file. Now, what can you manage in Microsoft Project? Because remember, if you think about it, a project plan has communication plan, risk management plan, quality management plan, requirement management plan, a lot of what we call sub plans in the project management plan. But there are only three things that you can manage in Microsoft Project: the scope, the schedule, and the costs of the project. Those are the only three things that we call the triple constraint you can manage in project directly. Obviously, you can create all those other plans and link them to project using Microsoft Word or any other software you'd like. But you can only manage the triple constraint within Microsoft Project itself. So, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to enter the objective of the project. Now, if you can see my screen here, this is what you manage in project. The objectives of the project, as you've learned in PGM 1500 so far, project objectives must be smart. You must capture those three elements that you're going to manage in the software and the project objective. Every single time someone asks you, what is the objective of your project? If you don't say anything else, you must answer those three questions. What is it you're going to build? How much money it will cost and how long it's going to take. Now, by putting this into the computer, this is how people will know that the plan you're creating here, we're going to call it a baseline plan or a performance measurement baseline. It is actually correct only if it actually aligns with the project objectives, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this information here. I'm going to copy it, right? And I'm going to enter it in the software. So the way to do this is to take this information. If you didn't have this, you just need to understand where to do that. Now, I'm going to click on File. I'm going to start over. I'm going to click on File, Info, Project Information, Advanced Properties, and here in comments, I'm going to paste this information. The objectives of the project, right? As you can see, you can tell people what your project's about, your industry, who's the project manager. That's going to be me. You can enter your name and the name of your company, keywords for looking searching your file if you can't find it on your computer. For example, if I don't remember where my file is, if I enter keywords that I can remember, I'm going to call it CSP. Right. Enter a bunch of keywords here that's I think will pop up to my mind when I think about this project. To enter keywords, right? So that's how you enter the objectives of your project. So that's what I've done so far. Objective, name my project file, enter the project objectives, and make sure I enter smart project objectives. Okay, so practically we enter this information we here in the in this so far. Now, what I can show you, I believe the other thing to do is to have a start date for your project. So you must tell the software when your project will start. So let us enter the same start date. We're going to enter, let's enter last year, July. Now, July 1st, 2023. Now, let me ask you why I am going to enter date in the past. The reason I'm going to do that is for demonstration purposes. But in reality, when you're creating a plan, it is more likely that your project will start somewhere in the future. It's not starting today when you're creating the file, but you're trying to plan for a project that will start sometime in the future. Now, I'm going to put here the past so I can pretend today we are already executing the project. So that's the reason I am doing this. So to enter start date for your project, what you need is to go to the menu bar here and click on project, the project tab, right? And project information. So when you click on project information, you're going to see today's date by default. So we're going to change that. We're going to change it to July 1st, 2023. Right? So July 1st, 2023. And click OK, right? As you can see, our timeline went back in time. Instead of 2024, now we have 2023. Now, we're going to watch this timeline. Now, let's go back. As you can see here, I can enter the start date of the project because I'm planning from start date, and I cannot enter a finish date. The reason for it is because the only way I can take full advantage of the software, if I enter information like a start date, the activities, the relationship between them, and the resource allocations, etc., and I let the software to estimate the finish date for like that, I take advantage of the scheduling engine of the software. Or I could plan from the finish date. If I have a must finish date, I could enter it. Then the software I enter all my information, and the software will give me an estimate of when should I start this project in order for it to be completed by this date that I want, right? But right now we're going to plan from start. It's forward planning. It's not backward planning. So that's the difference between the two. Now, for calendar, I have three predefined calendars here. A standard calendar that we talk about, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, 40 hours a week. So if I want a different calendar, I have to create one because quite frankly, it is quite often that you're going to be in a situation where you will be working on a project that does not follow a standard calendar. So you should be able to create a calendar for your project. This can be done very, very easily. That's not a problem at all. So right now we're going to leave this here, all right? And we're going to click OK. So that's what we have. We have a start date for our project, right? Questions? Do you have any questions?
I have a question about the calendars.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, was I meant to ask it on the chat?
No, you can speak, please.
No, the only question I have is, do these calendars maybe come as a prepared package when a workplace, for example, has its own calendars that they usually use?
You mean the software comes only with those three calendars, but
okay,
that's the predefined calendars. But you can create as many calendars as you want. You can create a calendar for your resources. For example, Peter works on your project, but has a completely different schedule because he only works 2 days a week. You can create a calendar for Peter. That's called a resource calendar, because Peter is a resource. Your project, your organization may be using a standard 5-day a week calendar, but your project has a 4-day a week schedule. You can create a project calendar. So in other software, some people differentiated them by calling them global calendar and project calendar. But here, they just call them standard calendar, and you can create project calendar. Now, the way to create a new calendar, I think this is where we are in this part of the practice here. If we're following this, you do this in the project time, and in change working time, right? And change working time. So as a person who will be planning with the tool, you understand what your organization situation is. I've actually collaborated in the past with people who work only Monday through Thursday, and they had Friday off or Friday to do some other things within their organizations. Others were working on a 3 days calendar. As you can see here in change working time, you can create a new calendar. If I click create a new calendar, I can call it whatever name I want, right? I can call it project calendar, right? And I can create a new base calendar, right? If I choose this, let's say I call it project calendar, right? And I can create it from scratch, create a new base calendar, or I can use the standard 5-day calendar as a start. So I don't start from scratch, right? And I make all the changes that I want to it. If you had, here we only have 3 default predefined off-the-shelf, if you want to call it that, calendar, but we can modify them whichever way we want, right? So that's entirely up to us. And once you create this project calendar, for example, if I click OK here, once I have and if you look here, I had only 3 choices, but now I have 4 choices, right? So any changes I make, you see, whether I have I'm gonna choose what are the working time, if it's white, working time, non-working time, gray. So right now, the non-working time are Saturdays and Sundays. But if you were to make changes here, you can tell your calendar work weeks, for example, and you can define your work weeks, right? You can make exceptions and you can have work weeks. Now, if you create work weeks, you can create details. For example, use, here it says, use project default time for this calendar, set days to non-working time, set days to the specific working time, and you can do that. For example, if you say, well, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday are going to be here, well, set days to the specific working time, and here it's a use project default times for these days, and then you work on this. Now it's if you click OK, then you have here informations for your calendar. Now you can select this and then select those days. We skip Monday and Tuesday, or Sunday. Well, we only want Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. If I click here and I do this, I have a new calendar with the days that I want. So you can make those changes, and depending on your situation, play with it and see how it works for you, depending on your situation. So, it's very common for companies to be working on different calendars. Now I'm going to go back in change working time, and I'm going to, instead of selecting the project calendar, I'm going to leave it to the standard calendar, because that's what I want to work with. All right. So so when you enter your work week here, you can enter when you start and when you finish. So that's the way to do it. Now let's do this. I'm going to keep my standard calendar and I'm going to click OK. So that's one thing we did. Now, another thing we're going to do, I think we did, I have detailed instructions here, how to do it step by step in change working time. So now I'm going to show you how to create exceptions, and then we're going to move forward to other lab activities. Let's go back to project. And
sorry to interrupt. I have a question.
When
you were entering some of the information under project information, you entered a past date from July 2023, and then you mentioned something about backward planning. Could you explain, like, when should we use like backward planning with Microsoft project, and what does it mean in reality if we do backward planning? Like the thing that you just did, I'm a little bit confused. I need clarification, please.
Clarifications about backward planning. So the backward planning is just like when you are trying to determine the critical path of a project, you can use a forward pass or backward pass. The same way you can do backward planning or forward planning. Now, in backward planning, it means that you start by the end of the project. For example, I want my project to finish on October 15, 2024. We are in October. We are in 2024. So what I put in the software, I enter the finish date. I don't enter a start date. And I enter all my activities, relationship, duration, relationship, and resources. And the software will give me an estimate of the early start of the project. Now, early start ES of the project is the earliest time I can start this project without delaying or passing the date of October 15, which is the finish date. That's what backward planning means. You enter the finish date, activities, relationship, duration, resources, and the software give you the ES for the project. Early start, right? The finish date is called a must finish by date. That's what the sponsor. It's as simple as if you start with a start date, but except in this case, you have the finish date. The sponsor doesn't care when you start. You can start anytime you like, except you can't go beyond October 15. And some people do that. Now, the software gives the options. Obviously, some people do it. In some project, you will all, but in all project, actually, you're going to have a most finish date. But except you don't have to enter this date, the most finish by date, in your software. You can just start with the start date, enter all the information, and see whether the finish date will comply with the most finish by. So that's two different ways to do it. I do this in Microsoft Project, Primavera Cloud, and Primavera P6. If you look on my screen here, you can see I have all this software, which I used in the past at work for different planning purposes. That's how they work. They all work the same. Did that answer your questions?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Now, what I'd like to show you is how to create exceptions in your calendar. So an exceptions could mean that this year, Thanksgiving, we're not going to work at all, right? So what I'm going to tell the software is that whenever I schedule people to work, do not schedule them to work for Thanksgiving. So I'm going to create an exception, and I'm going to call it Thanksgiving. And Thanksgiving, I think, is somewhere in October, November. And I think it's going to be this week in November. So it starts here, and it's finished here. See, the same thing you do when you create work. I'm going, and it's finished here. I'm going to create, go to detail. I'm setting non-working time. I'm entering the range, the start range, and I'm making sure the end is also good. I'm entering a range of records here. Start and end, and click OK. As you can see here, November, the week of November, Thanksgiving turns gray. Remember, gray means non-working. You see the legend here: white working days, gray non-working days. Same thing when you do it properly. If you see, you can clearly see the working days and the non-working days. Now, if you, after you create your calendar, your exceptions, you see them, then you know it works. Okay, so now, and I click OK. Right? Now I know, because I set it, I know even if I don't pay attention to it, when I schedule people to work, the software will never schedule anyone within working on this project to work on Thanksgiving days, because they are non-working days. The same way, if you have Thursday and Friday, Thursdays and Fridays that are non-working days, you can create exceptions. So we don't work on Thursdays, Fridays, but we have an exception. On this Friday of the future, we're all going to be at work for this activity, handover, celebrations, a party, whatever the case might be. So we're going to be here at the company. So you can create exceptions. So it's very flexible, really. And calendars are extremely important. So I think the next step in our workshop will be how to create a hierarchy in Microsoft Project using.
Sorry, I have a question.
Yes.
Yes. You remember the project start date is on the 1st of July 2023, and for the Thanksgiving Day we created it for 2024.
Yes.
That's okay. I was thinking maybe so what happens for November 2023?
Well, that's in the past.
Okay.
That's Thanksgiving already passed.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you.
And you're going to see this is the reason I choose that. When we, in other sessions of planning, when we're only creating I mean, I could choose a date in the future. That wouldn't be a problem. We could always but I want to show you when you start a project. We're assuming that we started this project in 2023 for demonstration purposes. But when you're planning, you could be planning for something that's going to start, I don't know, July, in August, whatever the case might be. So I don't know if you remember, I actually shared with you a spreadsheet. Now, if you could open the spreadsheet, and the spreadsheet, we have some information here. It's called concentrating solar power. And we're going to do something. We're going to remove the WBS. And the reason we're removing it is because it has more than the WBS now. We don't want to confuse people. It has the WBS, but it also has project activities. The activities start with an action verb, like create project charter, prepare stakeholder analysis. So you can see that here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to step by step. As you can see this indentation in my spreadsheet, right? For example, you see project initiation is indented under the name of the project because the project is called level 1 in WBS language, work breakdown structure language. That's level 1. And then you have level 2, project initiation, high level planning, for example, site preparations, those are WBS items. Level 3, identification of potential sites, etc. And then some of them are broken down into activities, like on-site mobilizations, for example. It's broken down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 activities. So what we're going to do, we're going to recreate this in Microsoft Project. So when you copy this, when you do in your lab, you type directly from project. Now, the reason I do this is because I want to give you this data. Instead of typing it, in order for us to go faster, we're going to copy and paste. But if you create a project from scratch, you don't need to work with a spreadsheet. You can start working directly in project because it is a spreadsheet as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy everything here, copy it. Now let's do this with me, all right? And I'm going to go to project, and in the task name column, I'm going to paste this information. There we go. Let's do that. Let me know when you're ready.
Professor, I have one question.
Go ahead, please.
When we open projects, so we get a lot of options like residential, construction, commercial,
You
create a
start a
budget,
blank project.
uh, blank. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Oh. Okay, so it's look like we ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So you copied and pasted this information. So what we're going to do, let us work to recreate the indentation you see in the spreadsheet. Now remember, everything is indented under the name of the project. You select everything under the name of the project, click on the task menu, and you see these are the in schedule group. In the schedule group, you have the indent and outdent feature. If you click indent, then you start creating a hierarchy. When you create a hierarchy, it's easy to examine your project based on the summary task. For example, I could collapse everything and it's just disappear here. If I click it again, it's reappear. Now, everything is indented under the name of the project. The project initiation activities from create project charter to charter created are indented under project initiation. So that's what you see in the spreadsheet. All right. Now, the identification, those three WBS elements, identification of potential site, funding of project development, development of rough technical concept are indented on the site identification, like that. And those three are actually under pre-feasibility study here, this, financing and contract, detailed design, now site preparation is under constructions. Now take a look at here. Site preparation is under construction, one indentation. On-site mobilizations is under site preparation. You indented 2 times, right? And then all these activities are indented under on-site mobilizations. You see, that's called a hierarchy. Construction, site preparation, on-site mobilizations, and the activities. Now, access road, all these elements here are all construction WBS elements. You can indent it once, just one under construction. So that's what you have here. Monitoring and controlling activities are under monitoring and controlling. And you have closing activities are indented under closing activities. You can indent that if you want, or you can leave it like that if you'd like, because this is called a milestone. It has 0 duration. It's not going to impact the schedule. Okay, now.
Professor, sorry to interrupt. What did you say about the access road and equipment acquisition? They'd be also hierarchically
construction.
indented.
They're ones under, so they fall under construction.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So I'm just waiting for you guys to do this so we can be all on the same page.
Okay, please, I have a question.
Sure.
Okay, so is it a better approach to first create our project task in the spreadsheet? And now,
no, it is not a good idea. It would be a waste of time. If you want to do that, because you want to share your project informations with people who don't have access to Microsoft Project, it's a good idea. But I think it's, just double work because Microsoft Project is a spreadsheet as well. You can start from, if you're starting from scratch, you start directly in Microsoft Project.
okay. So we can start inputting the tags to Microsoft Project and start with, continue with the indenting like we've done.
You can enter all your tasks in Microsoft Project and then indent them, or you can indent them as you're entering them.
Okay.
The way you do this is entirely up to you. This is really, honestly, a choice that you have to decide where you want to start developing your plan.
Okay,
entirely
thanks.
up to you.
Yeah, just the clarification. Thanks so much.
Yeah, absolutely. No problem.
Professor, can you please repeat this exercise of copy and pasting the tasks? Because I'm not able to see the subfolders under site identification and feasibility studies like that, because I can only see the text.
I'm sorry, what's the problem?
So in your on your screen, I can see feasibility studies a subfolder, which includes 4 more points. But when I copy pasted, I can see only it as a text.
Okay, well, just because you have to create the indentation. Have you been creating the indentation? You see how everything is indented under the project? Did you do that?
No, I did not.
Okay, well, that's what we did. What you need to do is to select everything under the project, because the project is called level 1 in a WBS format. And then you indent, and the indent feature is here in the schedule group. And then I indented everything under project initiations, and that's how you see that. In order for you to do it, just select underneath where you want the indentation to fall, and then you click the indent button.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, are you ready?
No,
Yes.
can I see what you did under the construction where you highlighted the yellow and
Under construction?
Yes.
Well, under construction, I indent site preparation once. I click on it one time, and then I indent this under site preparation. As you can see underneath, so as you can collapse it, and then I select everything under site mobilizations, the activities, and indent them under site mobilization. So if the indentation work, you can always test it by collapsing and collapse it. All right.
Okay.
So if it is a sub, it should everything should roll up to it. The same way you can see here. This is what happened when you do it properly.
Okay.
For construction, for example, as you can see, if all these elements and activities, WBS elements and activities are under constructions, when I click on this collapse button, they all collapse under construction.
Yeah.
So when you do it properly, that's what's going to happen.
I'm so sorry, Professor, but could you do the indent of construction for me again?
So you want me to undo it and redo it, right?
Only the construction, the indent.
Okay.
Okay.
So, well, I can do that.
Thank you.
That's how it was.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Well, something like that. Like that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So you want me to do it again? I click on site preparation and I indent it once. Now it is under construction. On site mobilization, I indent it twice. Now it's under start preparation. And I take all the activities under site mobilization and I'm going to indent them 1, 2, 3. So they are under site mobilization. So this
Okay,
is
thank
how
you.
I did it. Now, as you can see, all these access code foundations, obviously, even if you're not a construction expert, you know these are construction of the construction phase elements. So when you indent it, if they're done properly, they should be indented. Now, they're not indented, you know it's not done properly, you indent. All right? So
Okay, thank you.
See that? So that's how it's done. Okay. Now, we're going to find a way to test whether you find the results. So what we're going to do, we're going to work with the duration. Now, this is the rule. When you are preparing your project schedule, after you create the structure, the hierarchy, you will need to estimate activity durations, right? So anything that any task in the task name column that is a summary task, you don't need to pay attention to. You have to pay attention to the sub. So when I'm estimating activity duration, I don't try to estimate project initiation duration. What I try to do, I try to estimate how long project charter will take and how long prepare stakeholder analysis and the whole project kickoff meeting will take. When I find this, I add them up, should give me the duration of the project initiation because they are sub-tasks of project initiation. So what you need to remember is that project initiation is a project management deliverable, and create project charter, prepare stakeholder analysis are project initiation activities. So this is how you should think about it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to the spreadsheet. I'm going to take a look at the durations here. You see create project charter. I believe it was just like 10 days. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to, instead of typing everything in project, I'm going to just copy and paste it because I already have the information. From create project charter 10 days, I'm going to go all the way down and copy this information. And I'm going to go back to project. Now I have to make sure that in the duration column, I put my cursor exactly in front of create project charter. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And I click paste. See that? So now, if you've done it properly, all the rest of the durations would be fine. So that's what you'd have here. Now everyone would have 689 days for the duration of their project. That's what it would have. Now the project, remember the project is task 1, or what we call it level 1 in WBS language, 689 days. That's what you'd have. Now, the thing to do, I could start over if you want. The thing to do is to make sure the software is working properly in terms of duration estimate. What the software is telling me is that it's look like there are tasks that are 689 days, but that's not the real duration of my project. And the reason I know this is because I have a bunch of activities in manual schedule. What I need to do, I need to convert those manual tasks with the pin and into auto schedule. Auto is automatic. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on this header here, right? And in the task tab, if you click on it, there is auto schedule. Now let's click on it. Select the header here and click auto schedule. Now you see that there is a change. Everything changed in your Gantt chart, and your Gantt bars change, and everything in task mode changed from manual to auto. And the durations of your project is now 690 days. However, what I'd like you to know is that your project baseline is far from being complete, because you didn't tell the software how those activities will be performed in terms of relationship among them. In other words, you didn't indicate and you didn't provide any information about predecessors or successors. So the next thing we're going to do is, when we tell the software what are we going to do in parallel and what are we going to do in sequence, this is only time the software will give you almost a true estimate of the finished date of your project. But now you only know only partial information about your project. Questions?
I have a question. I got lost when you pasted something in the duration column, and then everything changed. What did you paste, and which cell was it?
I copied duration, right?
Uh-huh.
And because I copied from row 3
Excel.
From Excel, row 3 from create project charter, I made sure when I paste it in the project, I do the same thing. As you can see, this is row 3 too. And I put my cursor here in the duration column in front of project charter, and I paste the information. So after I did that, I switch my entire project from manual schedule to auto schedule by clicking on the task mode header column, and then in the task tab from the menu bar and the task group, I click auto schedule.
Professor, I have a question. What if we choose manually schedule? So how does it appear? Like, do we have to input the dates and start and finish date, or how it works?
Manual.
Yeah.
You use manual schedule. You could choose any task, for example, and switch the task to manual schedule. And you only choose manual schedule if you don't want the software to take that task into considerations when estimating the durations of your project. For whatever the reasons you may have, you can say, well, this task, I don't have complete information for it yet. I'm going to leave it here, manual. And when I have complete information who will be working on it, a better estimate, then I'm going to incorporate it in the project. Or it could be just a task you want for information purposes only, and you don't want it to be included in the duration estimate. So that's why you use manual schedule. But if you use manual schedule, just keep in mind, the software may not take it into consideration. So that's what you need to keep in mind.
So in manual schedule, we can like just put the start date. Like it will automatically update the start date, but finish date won't be updated, right? Finish date is up to us. Like at what time we have to finish.
That's right.
Okay.
For the task or the finish date of the project. Because you're talking about finish date, or you talking about the finish date of an activity or the finish date of the entire project?
Finish date of an activity.
Yes. So if you enter a manual task, you can change actually the finish date of the test manually. I mean, you could do this for automatically too, but if you do it for a task that is automatically scheduled, it will impact the entire project. If you do it for a task that is manually scheduled, then it will not impact the entire project.
All right.
So that's the difference between the two.
Yes. Thank you, Professor.
Hi, Professor Alexis. This is Herbert here. I have a question, and this is probably different. Do we still have to retain all the other folders separately since we've already entered everything? Because I was looking at the charter, how you entered the project charter. I assume we still have the project charter in its entirety somewhere else, right? Do we have to maintain all these files? I know we have so many files here scrolling down. Do we have to maintain them somewhere separately?
You mean the other project documents, you mean?
That's correct, yes.
Oh, yes. You can link Word documents or the documents to a project file. But usually when you collaborating on a project like that with people, you use something like SharePoint, right? I don't know. Are you familiar with SharePoint? It's a Microsoft project collaboration platform.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I was just wondering, there's so many folders someone has to be.
Yes, absolutely. And this is why from the very beginning, we said we only manage really three things in this space, just the schedule, the scope of the project, and the cost if you want to.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Now, before we move forward, there is one thing that I must acknowledge. If you take a look at my durations, I have weeks and days there. In practice, it is a good practice to use one unit of measure for durations. You obviously time, but if you're using the best unit of measure is day. So convert all Microsoft Project converts automatically any other durations you enter in 2 days. This is why you see the duration of the project is 690 days now. But I have places where I have 1 week or 2 weeks estimate. It's a good idea to convert everything in 2 days. Now, I do this because this file I use for demonstration purposes, and I needed to draw your attention to that. The practice is to convert everything in 2 days. Now, if I take this project information and I enter it into a different software application, if the other software is compatible with Microsoft Project, before I import the file from project to any other file, to any other software applications, they're going to ask me, they're going to indicate that they will convert everything in 2 days. So you know that you will lose these informations that you have in 2 weeks. Now, that you have entered to the software. So that's something you need to know. The thing that we need to do now is to define task relationship. And we're going to do that by starting by indicating the predecessor and activities for the schedule. So I think if we go to the spreadsheet, right, you will see this column D in the spreadsheet. You will see information about predecessor. Now be careful, because in a project schedule, every activity should have a predecessor, except the first one. So create project charter will not have a predecessor because it's the first activity. So predecessor informations will start with the second activity, and every single activity in a project should have a predecessor, again, except the first one. So let's copy this information. Remember, this information I'm copying, it's right in column, in row 4, it is in row 4, in front of prepare stakeholder analysis. I'm going to copy it all the way down. If there is an error, we're going to fix it later. Copy here, and then go to project. And remember, row 4, if you put it in a different row, it's not going to work. And then paste the information. Right? Now, as you can see here, the durations of the project change again from 690 days to 736 days. Now, if you click on project here, we're going to do that in a minute. Tasks, view, click on view. Let's click on view. If you've done this, click on view and click on entire project. That's a zoom the entire project. You're going to see what you've done more clearly in the Gantt chart view. So what do we mean here? We're saying create project charter, which is task 3, is a predecessor to task 4, prepare stakeholder analysis. And they are in a finish to start relationship. If you want to see this information, you can just double click on prepare stakeholder analysis and click on the predecessor column, and you can see the type of relationship they with finish to start. You could change it if you wanted to, but that's what we want. We want create project charter and prepare stakeholder analysis to be in a finish to start relationship. with no lag, okay? 0 day lag. So now I'm going to let you finish this part. And then when you're ready, please type ready in the chat.
Professor, can you repeat for the viewing, we don't see the same view as yours. I kind of missed it. Can you repeat for that part?
From the menu tab, click on View and click on Zoom Entire Project. You can obviously scroll up and down.
Professor, after like pasting it from Excel, the predecessor, the column, what is the next step?
What's the next step?
What's the next step to do that?
I didn't do anything else. I just zoomed the project. To zoom the project, click on View and click on Zoom Entire Project.
Okay. You just have to copy and paste it in the predecessor, right?
Yeah, you just copy and paste the predecessor information in the predecessor column, and you just need to paste it in the exact row, just the way it is.
All right. And once we double click on the deliverables, sub-deliverables, we get a command information panel, right? Command panel.
Yeah, you can double click or you can select any task and click on task and click on information. It's the same thing.
Okay. So is there any shortcut for any key shortcut for that?
Double click on it.
Okay, right.
Shift F2 is a shortcut.
Shift and
F2.
Shift F2. Okay.
I think double click is shorter. Okay, so what else we need to do? Once you create this, now, how many of you have the 736 days duration? Can you type in the chat to let me know if you have the same duration? Okay, well, that's good. It means a lot of you are actually doing it. Now, what else I need to show you? I need to show you how to use WS Code. When I'm there is so much that you can do here. Now, remember, here we are planning just for one project, right? But when you guys are familiar with those tools, you'll be able to create, mini plans in a day based on contract, just go and break project down into WBS elements and project activities, etc. I mean, it's very difficult to do many in a day, but you'd be able to do it pretty quickly. So, so what I'm going to do now is to use WBS code for my schedule WBS elements, and other schedule activities. So what I'm going to do to use the codes will be useful when I'm discussing my project or talking about risk management. Instead of saying prepare stakeholder analysis, I could actually refer to the code. Now, there's already a task ID, but the task ID from 1 to whatever the number you have is different from the WBS code or the schedule code. Now, to enter the code, we're going to do default code right now. Click on Gantt chart format, right? Click on Gantt chart format, right? And then check this box, outline number. So you see now you have the you have the numbers. You can remove them if you don't want them, but you can add them if you want. All right. So that's how you do this. Now, I'm going to pause for a moment to take questions. Questions?
Okay, Professor, please, could you please show the last step on how to show the outlined numbers?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Could you please show the last step on how to show the outline numbers for the task on the WBS?
Oh, it's right here. Gantt chart format and check this box.
Okay. Thank you.
Of course. Now, as I'm waiting, I'm looking at the chat to see if I have any questions here. And then I'm going to quickly take a look at right.
Sorry, doctor, I'm still not getting 736 days. Is it because maybe I pasted the duration in the wrong way? Because I thought I'm getting 31 days only. I'm not sure what the problem is.
There could be many reasons for that. First, if the hierarchy is not properly done, you may miss something. That could be where you miss the 3 days. So if you look at your hierarchy, make sure that the indentation is done properly, and then obviously in terms of copying and pasting, if your duration matched before, but not now, make sure all your activities are on auto schedule in the task mode. That's one thing to do. Check to see that. To make sure, just click on this and then click on task, click on auto schedule and see if anything doesn't change. It's probably if you copied and pasted this, the predecessor, if you entered them the same way we did, you should have the same duration. That's where usually the error is.
I copied the column from create project charter. I believe cell 3, the column of cell 3 in the Excel, and then I pasted it from create project charter here on cell 3 MSP duration all the way down, but did not change anything with me. But I'll keep trying. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yes, it's a good idea to keep trying. But I'm sure, it's just a simple error here in the copying and pasting. Anyone else had issues with the duration?
Yeah, sorry. Yes, I ran into an issue and I think I have to start all over again because I think one of the tasks, the indentation went bad and I could not undo it and I had to start all over again.
Yeah, it's okay. And someone asked actually a very good question in the chat. How do you enter predecessor or linking activities if you didn't copy and paste them? That's important. I think I need to cover that. So I'm just going to give you guys time to try to figure out what that. I'm going to give you maybe 5 minutes, and then I will talk about how to do this manually, and then we can move on to other things.
Can you scroll your screen? I just want to compare something at the latter part of the screen.
What is it?
Like, can you scroll down a little bit for me? I want to compare what you have on the screen to my here. Yeah, okay, here. Thank you.
Okay. I'm giving you another couple of minutes.
I got 690 and with the red line from the right side, which I think I have missed something from the beginning, right?
What did you say?
The duration I got 90 days, and with the red line from the right side.
You're not in, probably not in auto schedule. So switch to your entire file to auto schedule.
Okay. Thank you.
And then make sure you have the predecessor activities properly.
Oh, I did it. Thank you, Professor.
Okay, great. Awesome. Yeah. Now, if you have a chance to look at your lab assignments, I am willing to answer any questions, but obviously I'm going to try to cover as much as possible for the lab. I'm going to remain available if you want to send questions over. Okay. So I'm going to show you how to do this manually, defining predecessor and successor activity. If you want to link, as you can see here, task 3, create project charter, and all the other tasks below, they are linked here. And they link in a finish to start relationship. I can't see that in the predecessor column. So when you want to create a predecessor manually, you can just enter them in the predecessor column, because remember, this column, it was here by default. So when you create a file for the first time, this column is going to be here, but you could enter other informations. For example, here, you see where it says add a column. If you double click on it, it's going to give you a list of predefined columns that you can insert, just like you see here, duration, etc. So you can say a lot of activities here, a lot of predefined columns that you can create. So you just need to know what information you need and whether you need them right in front of your view right now. For example, actual cost. When I start tracking costs of my project, I could enter it here. And I said actual cost. As you can see here, actual cost is 0. Now, the reason actual cost is 0 is because I haven't spent any money on this project yet. I just started planning it, and I didn't enter costs for the work we're doing right now. So we're going to do that later. But if you want, you can have, let's see, just cost here, no cost. Leave this here and we're going to see what happens. So to do this manually, you could enter the predecessor here. For example, if I remove 3 that I enter here, you can see the change. My project's finish date change from the 736 to 726 is because that 10 days for create project charter is not included. But if I want to tell the software that actually there is a finish to start relationship between create project charter and prepare stakeholder analysis, I can just select them, and in the task tab here and click link the selected task. And if I link them, see, just done. I could select all of these. I could unlink them, or I could link them. You see that? So if I could start create project charter and prepare stakeholder analysis, I could tell the software, well, there is a start-to-start relationship between them. Change it from finish to start to start to start. And then it says TWESS. Now I'm going to delete that again. And I could type it manually. TWESS. It's the same thing, right? So I'm just going to leave it finish to start. But if you think about it, when I change finish to start to 3 start, tell me what you see. What happened? What did you see? What did you observe?
Total number of project days has been reduced by 10 days.
That's right. This is because when you want to accelerate the durations of a project, instead of planning project activities finish to start, you should do them start to start if you have the resources. Start to start, and they can start at the same time, or you can start this and then start that. You don't have to wait until you finish. But in order for you to do that, you must have resources, people who can work on both activities at the same time. Now, if you don't, if you only have the same people working on create project charter and prepare stakeholder analysis, you have no choice but to do it finish to start, and it's take more time. Just take more time. So more resources you have, the faster you can complete your project. Right? And again, if you want, you can add note to your project activities. For example, here, if you select an activity and you click note, right? So you can add a note. We will invite John to the meeting. John is important for this meeting, so I add a note to remember to invite John to the meeting. When you add a note, we will invite John to the meeting. Then people know whoever is doing the planning, the scheduling, will create a Teams or Zoom meeting and find out whether when John will be able to attend the meeting. You have access to John's calendar. You work in the same company. You see when John is free, and try to make sure that you organize the meeting at a time when John can actually attend the meeting. So you see, that's a task note. You enter a task note, right? So that's one thing you can do in the project, when you're planning a project. So what else you need to pay attention here to is that in some of those, I do have something here that's called charter created. And charter created, it has 0 duration. Now, because it has 0 duration, and because of the format charter created, I know that's a milestone. If you want, you could, I don't know, highlight tasks if you wanted to. That is if you wanted to. You can highlight them all the way. These are going to be milestones. So wherever you see any task, now it's a good idea to insert milestone to indicate important event. For example, it would be a good idea to tell people when on-site mobilizations will be completed, when construction will end, by using milestones. So insert milestone at important points on your project to mark those events. In contract management, it is likely that those different milestones will be given to you in the contract, but if not, if you're planning, that's how you choose where to have those markers. Important phase in your project, you could have start milestone or finish milestone. Here, in this example, this is a finish milestone. As you can see, the structure of a milestone is different from the structure of a project activity. You can see that. If you speak the project management language, then you have your milestone named properly in your project, right? So that's important. So what else is important for you to know? Now you understand the idea of task relationship and how to do it. Now, one thing is, I have a lot of summary tasks. Now, this summary task, site identification, and pre-feasibility study are linked. However, they're not linked directly together. In most software, in Microsoft Project, you could link site identifications and pre-feasibility directly, but it's a bad practice. So what you do to link those two, you link the last item of site identification, last sub-item, with the first item of pre-feasibility using the mouse and the control key. And the control key, I select this first, press Control, and then select the other, and then you click link, or you could just go and type 11 here in the predecessor code. But if you're doing it using your mouse, you just select the first one and select this one, and then click link. But you need to use the control key to select things from different places on your phone. I mean, control key because I'm using Windows, right? If you're using a Mac, I mean, you should figure out what to use. I don't use Mac, so so that's how you do it. So another thing that I should make sure you know is the idea of lag and lead time that your instructor probably talked about. I know I talk about lag and lead time. Now, remember, we said there are tasks that could be performed at the same time. Let's find out two tasks here. Pre-feasibility study and feasibility study, as you see, they're linked. They're linked by the subtasks. Task 16 and 18 are linked. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to click on task 18, and I'm going to click on task information and click on predecessor. The predecessor is 16. And I'm going to enter a lag time. A lag time of 5 days. Now, before I do this, I would like you to know that a lag time is a waiting time between two tasks that have a relationship. Market assessment and technical and financial evaluation, they linked. Okay. Now, I'd like you to pay attention to the Gantt bar as well, to see how it's gonna change with a lag of 5 days. I enter the lag, is a waiting time, and I click OK. See, it's moved 5 days. It's mean when I complete the market assessment, I have to wait for people to analyze it, take a look at it, make sure I did a great job, and I provide good information. It's gonna take them 5 days, and it shows here there's a finish to start between those two activities, but with a 5-day lag. It's a waiting time, and you can see here. But if I were to remove the lag time, you can see it's moved back. So no waiting time. You could use a lead time. A lead time is an acceleration. Accelerations say that, well, I'm not gonna wait for the market assessment to completely finish before I work on this. And now, if it is possible, then you can do it. So click on information, predecessor, a lead time. A lead time is a negative lag. Let's say that's too much. 6 days lead, and here we go. That's a lead time. So lead and lag time, you could use that to fine-tune your schedule when possible. As you can see, with a lead time, that's likely to reduce the duration of my project from 736 days to 735 days. So as you can see, a lag time is a waiting time. It is likely to extend the duration of your project. A lead time is an acceleration. It's likely to reduce the duration of your project. So that's the difference between the two. Now, I'm going to stop here and take your questions. So the last time I'm going to do after I take your questions is to show you how to work with resources. And then after we're going to end this session. I don't want to keep you for a very long time on a time off, and I'm glad you attend, because you didn't have to. It shows how you are passionate about your learning. Now I'm taking questions. Do you have any questions for me after this demonstration? Questions? Anything? Don't be
Yes,
shy.
Professor. I have one question.
Yes.
For technical and financial evaluation of preferred, we have entered 6 days of lead time. This means that when we start the market assessment, which takes 12 weeks to complete, this means after 6 days, we have to start the technical financial evaluation. Am I correct?
Yes, that's well, a 6 days lead means that you could actually start technical financial evaluations when you have a 6 day left in your project, instead of waiting for it to complete completely. Because as you can see here, the duration is 12 weeks. Doesn't mean that after 6 days you must start. It means that you could start actually when you have 6 days left in this task. Now, if it was a lag, it would mean that you could start after waiting 6 days. These are two completely different things.
Okay, means in case of lag, there will be after 12 weeks, there is a 6 days of lag, and then we will start the technical and financial evaluation.
Yes, that's what it means. It's a lag time. Now, if it is a lag time in the finish to start relationship, that's what we're talking about here. That's what it means. When we finish the market assessment after 12 weeks, we need to wait another 6 days. That's what that means. In the second case of lead time, it's mean when we have 6 days left, we could actually start working on technical assessment. So we save 6 days because we would be working on them at the same time. And then that's how we save the 2 days. Now, remember, this is a finish to start relationship. However, these interpretations would not be the same if the relationship was start to start, right? If it was start to start, for start to start with a lag time, it means that when we are 6 days through market assessment, we could start technical financial evaluation, right? So in other words, I'm gonna start market assessment, and after 6
Professor,
days,
can we see the example of that so that it can get clear in our mind?
can you what do you want?
Example in this, like, can we do that start to start with lead and lag?
Side to side?
Yeah.
Well, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I think you're looking at it side to side, but we could actually use two activities probably that have shorter time
Okay.
for this example. Okay. Which one do you want? Do you want the example with the start to start or finish to finish?
Anyone start to start.
Okay, so let's do this. Two activities. They're not activities. They are sub-deliverables of design, detailed design. Now, let's say, for example, preparations of detailed design for all relevant lots and this other activity, preparations of project implementation schedule. Now, let's say here, now these two, well, actually, this activity is link. Let's take those two here, 5 days instance. Now, let's say activity 30 and 31 are linked in a start-to-start relationship. Let's change this from start to start. Okay. Now, what does start-to-start means here? Activity 30 and 31. What does it mean? Can you tell me?
Yes, in order to start the finalization of permitting us, we have to start preparation of project implementation schedule.
Yes, but it could start at the same time. But if I say there is a start-to-start with a 3 days lag, or let's say 5 days lag in this case, it means that when I'm halfway through preparation, because it's 10 days, that's when I can start the finalizations of permitting process.
Okay.
That's what it means. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay. So if we change this relationship, now I give you this start to start example. Let's go back to finish to start. Now, there is a, let's say right now, there's a finish to start relationship between 30 and 31. And we're going to use a lead time. Same thing. Let's use a lead time of 5 days. Remember here, what does finish to start means for 30 and 31? Finish to start, what does it mean? I'm sorry.
The predecessor has to finish, so the other one can start.
But if I have a lead time of 5 days, if I have a lead times of 5 days, it's mean that instead of waiting for preparations of project implementation entire 10 days to finish, I can actually start here when I'm halfway through. Yeah, so that's practically the same. One, in the case of a start to start with a lag, I showed you that I needed to wait 5 days and then start. Remember, start to start, but I couldn't start the other until I was halfway through. Here, what I can do when I'm halfway through is to start 31. I don't have to wait the entire 10 days. And that's how you can see here, you benefit from the durations of the project. You reduce the durations of the project of the 2 days. Now, I'd like to do a couple of things before I end. I would like to show you how to allocate resources and then fix an overallocation if there is. So I'm going to do this very quickly. And then I'm going to show you how to take a look at the critical path and analyze it. At least I'd like to be able to do that. Now let's do the first one. Go back to the spreadsheet and take the resources. The resource assignment is not complete. But remember, I have resource allocation to sub item, wherever I have resource allocation. So on summary tasks, I have to fix it. You see here, for example, this resource allocation shouldn't happen. Delete it. This is fixing that. We delete that. And then what we're going to do, we're going to copy this all the way down. And copy and go back to the Microsoft project file. And then remember, cost is 0 right now, right? So we're going to paste this right in front of create project charter. And we're going to paste it. So now you see the resource allocation. Now, the thing that's missing right now is that I didn't create my resource sheet with money, with cost. In other words, I didn't tell the software how much money I'm going to pay project manager, the project coordinator. So that's why I have a 0 cost here. Now, can you use the undo function? Now, the undo button is here. You can remove the resource allocation. Undo by using undo. Just that you undo. Now, what I'm going to ask you to do is to click on view. Now, don't let me move forward if you're not following. Click on view and click on resource sheet. You see that? Click on the header here for the group, click hide. Click hide. Where is the hide button? Here it is. Right? Click on overtime and click hide. Okay. Now take a look at the spreadsheet and take a look at the resource sheet. Do we have the same thing? Resource name, type, material label, max unit, standard with cost, etc. Let's copy it. And go to project and paste it. Now, the only reason it doesn't work is because we're not mapping properly. So let's take this rate, standard rate here. Material label, unit, and take this from the control system. Okay. Did you do it? Yeah. I hear yes. That's the sheet from Microsoft Project. If you create that in the resource sheet in project, right? Now there is money here. We're going to see different result, right? Now that the money is there, let's copy this resource or resources, go to project and click on view, Gantt view here. So click on view, click Gantt, and then go here and paste the resource. You see? Now, completely different. Now, what you need to know is that you only incur cost in a project if you use resources. Money spent on a project is due to resource usage. If you didn't use any resources, then you wouldn't incurring any cost. So that's the lesson we should learn here. It's come from zero cost to $858,000. Now, questions? Any questions? Now, when you have
Professor,
resource,
I have a question.
Yeah.
Professor, in the view, after we added the resources from the resource sheet in the Gantt chart, how did we get the calculations accrued in cost?
How do we get the calculations? Which calculation?
Like, yeah, like how did we get all the calculations which were earlier all cost was zero? So now we have 858,000 as I can see on your screen. I was not able to do it. Can you please explain it again?
Oh, yeah. So if you click on view resource sheet, right? Did you create this resource sheet?
Yes, I did.
You see this cost standard, cost per hour?
Okay.
Okay. So the cost per hour means that when I assign project manager to work, I'm gonna pay $85 per hour. So the cost calculation is based on the cost of the resources per unit. For example, if I use one control system, then I'm gonna pay $1,500 per one. When I use 10, that's gonna be 10 times that.
Correct.
So when you go to view and then you paste the resources here, as you can see, you assign the project administrator, project coordinator, and the project manager to work on those activities. Then depending on how many hours those activities will take, work hours, then that's how I accumulate costs based on the cost per hour that is in this sheet.
I
So
did
now,
paste them though, but I'm not able to see them. Give me a minute.
what is it? Can you speak louder?
I pasted the resources in the column as you suggested, but I can still not see the cost here. So
do you have the cost column there?
I do, yes.
Okay. Do you have costs in this?
Actual
in the
cost I
resource
can
sheet?
see, yes, on that.
In the standard rate, you have cost there?
Yes.
Okay. You have costs here in the standard rate. Oh. And you have resources there. You have those resources?
Yes.
And you still have zero there?
I have actual cost as the column on my Gantt sheet.
Well, actual cost, there is no actual cost yet. Cost and actual costs are not the same. Cost is what you're incurring. Actual cost is when you start spending money. Because right now I'm just budgeting. I'm just creating a baseline, but I don't have any actual cost until I complete some of those work. Does that make sense?
Got it.
There's
Yes,
no
yes,
in order for you to have actual costs, you have to report some progress, right? You have to say the project manager and the project administrators, they complete this, then they become actual cost. Does that make sense?
Now that I added the column, I can see the cost sheet accordingly calculated for all the resources. Thank you.
Okay.
So
yes.
I can't find the cost on mine.
Oh.
I have I've created a resource sheet. And I have under the group, I have the 85 the pay per hour.
Well, this is what the resource sheet look like. Does yours look like that? Make sure it's look exactly the same. Resource name, type, material. The thing about here is this: you can remove initial because that's not what is there. Actually, you could delete.
So I should
whatever
delete
is initial
or hide it. Should I delete or hide?
Delete it and then hide it. Delete the content.
Okay.
And then hide it. So it has to look just like this.
So I have resource name, type, material. I have group.
Well, I don't have group in mind. I hid the group. Yours must look like this. If it doesn't look like that, you're not gonna have the same.
Okay, so I've deleted the group. So I have resource name, type, material, the max, which is I think is the maximum, the standard rate, the cost use, and the cost use, the accruing the base. Yeah, it looks like that. But the standard rate, I don't have any amount there. They are all zero.
Well, copy and paste it now from the spreadsheet, just the column.
Oh, okay.
And now look again. Look at the Gantt chart. Click on view and click on Gantt and see what you see. Make sure the cost column is there.
Okay, so now it shows. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
So
now,
to be clear,
also,
is
sorry,
858,320. Okay, thank you, sir.
Someone else has a question.
I have a question which might be about what you are going to explain next, but I have no over allocations. I have copied and pasted it the exact same way, and I triple checked. But one thing that I have different from what I see is that I also have a higher cost. So I have $859,760.
Okay.
So maybe my over allocations have solved themselves.
Yeah. Okay. So probably. So I mean, if we've been doing consistently the same thing, we would have the same result. But if there is something that different in yours, it's probably we miss a step where we did something different. It's okay. The thing is, when you're working from scratch, it's going to be your judgment, what you know, and making sure everything looks good, right? So right now, I have other allocations myself, so I have to fix them. And one way to fix them is either I do it manually or I do it, automatically. So in interest of time, obviously, we don't have much time left. I'm going to click on resource, right? And I'm going to click level all. And I'm level my resources. As simple as that, very simple. Now I could go and check to see after leveling my resources, so resource leveling. I mean, I have people who are working over time. So one way to do it before you level is to take a look at the resource usage to see, well, if I undo this leveling and then look first, view, resource usage, and I'm gonna look at those people who are over-allocated and trying to figure out where. 1 second, I have to move this away from me. Yeah, here we go. In the resource usage, in some other software, they call it a resource profile or resource usage profile. You can see where people, which exact day and week they have allocated and on which activity, right? Practically where you mostly have activities that are scheduled to happen in parallel and they're working 8 hours on each of those activities. So practically you could go and change those from 8 hours on each activity to 4, but you don't want to waste your time. If you have a lot of allocation, you should just do it automatically and observe what happened to your project. In many software, you could compare side by side before of resource leveling and after resource leveling so you can understand what happened. Microsoft Project doesn't have that yet, but the developers are working on create an audit trail so you can compare that. Very soon this feature will be out. So in this case, I just go to resource, and as you can see here, and I'm going to level all. When I level my resources, so I do not have any of allocation. If I go back to the resource usage and look for those civil engineer where I had the allocations, I can see that it's fixed now. So what happened when the software solve allocation, it uses any slack time you have available anywhere else. They use them first. Sometimes if you don't have any slack time in the project, what they do, they would delay the project. Now, as you can see here, if I go back and take a look at the gun view of my project, I'm still 736 days, which means they use slack time to solve my overallocation. So my project duration didn't change. And if you take a look at my costs, it didn't change either. So now I have a better plan because I don't have the overallocations. Now, I promised to show you one thing before we are out of time. Well, after you solve your overallocations, the thing to do is to make sure you have contingency in the plan. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you how to calculate contingency in your project plan. Now, chances are they're gonna tell you to take 10% of that, 10% of this cost, right? Now, obviously, you're going to calculate 10%, right? And then they ask you to use it as reserve for your project. So to create the reserve after you calculate the 10%, you go to the resource sheet here. You create a resource from scratch. Here I'm doing it. Contingency reserve. In project, there are 3 types of resources. Work, material, and costs. Work is for when you want to track how many hours people work or an equipment is working on your project. If you don't want to track time, this work resource is not really necessary. And also you use it to tell whether people are working full-time or part-time in the max unit column, right? Full-time is 100%, half-time 50%. People can work 75% of the time on your project, so you can indicate that's it. But what I'd like you to see here is that I'm not gonna use a contingency reserve for the as a project as work, because I'm not gonna track time on it. It wouldn't make sense. I'm gonna make it a cost resource, right? And for the construction crew, and someone had a different money on their project, and I know why. It's because the max unit are not the same. So if I go back and check my max unit, maybe that's going to make a difference. Okay, so contingency reserve, I'm going to make it a cost resource. So I'm going to go back to the Gantt view. I'm going to say that I might need reserve here in identification of potential site. So what I do, I click on resource, assign resources. Now, if you don't copy and paste, that's how you assign resources organically, manually. So you go from the Gantt view, you select the activity to which you want to add resources. You click assign resources. Now you look for the resource, right? Contingency reserve. I'm going to say that I'm going to have a reserve of 20 grand here. 20 grand. What else? Technical assessment. Another 20. Maybe 25. Right? And then, where else? A land acquisition. And click close that. Now let's go back to the resource sheet. Did I add any money here? Let's add the costs column. I added $75,000. Now, in the resource sheet, wherever you don't see money, it's mean I didn't use this resource yet. I didn't use any of these resources yet. So if, for example, control system here, if I go back to the view, control system, where do I need my control system?
On electrical wards, equipment.
Yeah, I could add them to the equipment acquisition. Resource, assignment. Let's look for control system. I need 5. control system 5. The 5 is 5 times the unit cost, and the unit cost is $1,500, and I use 5. So that's how I accumulate costs. Now, once my schedule is in good shape, I have no overallocations, everything is done. What I can do, I could go to project and set a baseline. But I don't set a baseline until I fix all of our allocations. I have resource assignment on all project activities, and then I have contingency reserve. Then I set a baseline. And when I set a baseline, I set a baseline for the entire project. Here we go. So I can check this by looking at project information, project statistics, to see whether I have a baseline. Yes, I have a baseline here. I have the total costs here for them because of the money I spent. And then if I keep allocating resources, the more resources I use, the more money I will spend. But I'm not gonna set a baseline until everything is all right. So here's what I'm going to do. It's 3:30 and I've done everything, almost everything you'd need to do in a lab assignment. So anything I didn't do here, I'm going to turn on my camera and I'm going to stop sharing for a while. If you want to turn on your camera, it's okay. Because it's still weird when I'm the only person on camera. So what I'm going to do, okay, so, okay, so whatever I didn't show you here, I'm posting this in the chat. There is a video on this channel that shows you how to do it. Reporting progress, for example. It's pretty easy. You do report progress here from the Gantt view. Just select the activities, and from the task tab, tell your teammates and the project manager whether this task is 75% complete or 100% complete. So this is how you actually have actual costs. When you say, if you say, for example, I've done all the planning activities, they are 100% complete, then you're going to see actual costs. If you enter, well, before that, if I enter the actual cost column here, it's 0. But if I report these activities, the project initiation and planning activities as complete, 100% complete, as you can see here, that's when I incur cost. This is when I have actual cost. Now, you could have a situation where actual cost is actually different from planned cost. This is where you have variance in your project. Variance analysis is necessary to analyze when actuals or actual values are not the same as planned values. This cost you're seeing here is practically costs.
Professor, sorry to interrupt, but not able to see your worksheet.
Oh, that's right. That's because I stopped sharing, didn't I? So what did I do? what I did, I reported progress to show you actual cost. Well, I can undo this. I think I should be able to undo this. Yep. Now you see actual cost is 0 on my screen. Now, if I select those activities, the initiation and high-level planning, and I click on tasks, and I said 100% complete, then because of that, I have actual cost now. So what I said is, you can find yourself in with situations where actual costs are actually not the same as your planned costs, because these are your planned costs, right? So if there was a difference, then you would say, for example, well, I plan to spend $14,400 on create project charter, but actually it only cost me half of that, or something close. As you can see here, there is a change here. Now you can say I plan to spend $21,600 on this, but the actual cost was actually $15,000. So that's variance analysis. When you finish some activities, you can take a look at the cost, the time, say, well, there is a gap between what I plan to do and when what I actually did. So there's a difference between planned values and actual values. So that's what you see, right?
I have a quick question.
Yep.
So for the planned values and the actual cost is recorded after the objective is completed. So after that task is completed. The planned value, however, is recorded at cost, so on the cost column. And when we would change actual cost, it would also change the cost.
Yes, but remember, we take a baseline. We set a baseline, right?
Oh, so you measure from baseline.
Yes. So because we took a baseline, the baseline saved the plan as it is. It's not going to change. So if you take a look at project statistic again, project information and project statistic, you see your baseline, it remains the same. What changed, though, is the actual and the current. Now, the current means that if you continue saving money like that, instead of 940,820, your project will actually cost 927,320. Now, you see, your baseline will never change unless you go and specifically change it from the baseline, right? So even if you see this change here on the surface, it doesn't change your baseline. Your baseline is a picture. It's served as standard, so it's not going to change. So another thing you can see here, this is called an entry table. You could change to a different table, like the earned value table, for example. The earned value table allows you to see variance at completion. It is an estimate for what budget surplus or deficit you can have. But right now, what I'd like you to know that you haven't done enough work yet to have a good assessment of the end of your project, because you only completed initiation and planning and some planning activities. There's actual work you didn't start yet. So this those end value indicators may not be accurate. But what it's telling you is that you might be saving a lot of money if you continue working with the same level of efficiency you're working with. So that's what it means.
Thank you so much.
Oh, absolutely. So I think that's going to be the end of our session. I'm going to stop for you to ask questions. Any other questions you have, And remember, I shared with you the link in the chat to the recording, prior recording. So what I'm going to do at the end of this presentation, I'm going to stop recording now, and I will upload this video to the channel as well.